The 9th of May 2024, you're very welcome back to, let you see it there, Real True Education, not fake news. Val, an assertive bully. Val, an assertive bully. So I want to tell you about the case of the North Kildare wind farm. It was a large wind farm with huge big turbines, and it was located on the borders of Kildare and South Meath, around the Enfield area there, Kilcock, that general area south of Trim. And it was a big wind farm, and the group there got on to me. And there were some groups are a bit watery, but this was a very good group. All women. Well, there's a man involved too, a husband of one of them. But there's one lassie there, and I won't name her, but the minute I got talking to her, I realised she was plucky. She was like myself. She had a bit of pluck. She was a working girl. She worked somewhere. Actually, I think she was a mother now at this stage. But the thing about it was, anyway, she got on to me for advice. And I advised her on the SCA directive, and to put in the submissions, which I did. You can get it there on the Kildare County Council. It was a strategic infrastructure development, which meant that it went to Board Planola. You paid €50 for your submission, and I made a submission to it. Submissions don't matter. Some people just write Happy Christmas or Have a nice day. That's all you need to write. Once you make a submission, you're in for a judicial review. Doesn't really matter hardly anything in planning what you write on it. So in any event, anyway, the big deal was there's no strategic environmental assessment for Ireland's renewable energy programme as required under Article 3.2 of the SCA directive and Article 2 to 4 thereof. They did no assessment at all because they're such dopes. Cabbage Head Ryan wouldn't be capable of even knowing what an assessment was. So it went on anyway, and it was eventually granted in the middle of a thing I cannot name. Now, I cannot name this, so I'll try and get it across to you. This is part of it. See this thing here? This is for cattle. Now, you see if you get that in the arm, right? Stuff goes in here, and it's injected in here. Now, another thing is, there is this type of a thing you put on. Like, now, I didn't agree with a lot of this, but in order to win our case, I had to shelve me objections to all that thing. You know what I'm on about now. You know the thing I'm on about. I'll be banned the minute I mention the word. You get this, and this cures you forever. Makes a great job of you know, right? Okay, we'll say no more there. But it was in the middle of this anyway, and it was granted. And as it was granted, just after it was granted, the case of C-2419 came out in Belgium. The European Court of Justice ruled that a wind farm over there, it was only a 5-turbine job, that the guidelines for it in 2006 did not comply with the SCA directive. It had no SCA. They were illegal. The wind farm in question had to be refused permission, and all wind farms built since 2006 in the EU had to be dismantled and pulled down. Now, progress is slow there, I do admit. I'm doing my best. I can't be everywhere. Now, that's all in the pipeline. Now, the French court has since copper-fastened that and said that that is the law. So we have that on the law. All wind farms are illegal. And you never know. It's very dangerous for me to say I'll take them all down, because I could get something. Somebody could bump me off, or plane I'm in could crash or something, or you wouldn't know. Could be hit with a meteorite. You never know. But the thing about it is, anyway, we needed to see the box. Now, a judicial review has to be taken within 56 days, and you need to see the box of stuff. They do have a big cardboard box, which is grand. They have a good system that way of filing and all that thing. And but they put it online. Well, the problem with putting online, like this is the parish bulletin here, the problem with putting that online is that you can't prove that what you're seeing is the reality. And often it's truncated. You'll get this. Do you see the way you can see most of that parish bulletin, but you can't see this bit? And therefore you can't get copies and all of that. It's not the same. So I told this girl and her friend, the other lady, to go into the council offices and to check the thing and just try and figure out what was there and ring me, because a lot of people can't read maps and can't do anything, but these were fairly good, so to do it. They went up to NACE, Kildare County Council, and they were told you can't come in here due to due to the thing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Can't come in here. Not allowed in. So I hadn't time. I am always busy. I got 2 calls from communities to do, one in Cool in County Westmeath, where the people had difficulty reading the map, and I had to take a day off and go over and read the map. And as a result, I got that stopped for 2 years, and then it came back again and was refused last week. I don't know whether taking a judicial review or not. So I was instrumental in blocking that, right? Okay. The same day, the Terworker Wind Farm people came to me, and I couldn't be too pleased at the one time, and it was granted by Meath County Council, and I thought it was Bord Pleanála. I asked them, and they told me that it was granted by Bord Pleanála. They didn't know the difference. That's why Terworker Wind Farm was built. So I have to take accountability for not getting the day off. It was the middle of my silage cutting season. So anyway, I decided I'd have to act. I telephoned rang the council, got through to a lady. I'm Val Martin. I'm the chairman I'm the Irish spokesman for the European Platform Against Wind Farms. 2 ladies called there and were denied admission. Oh yes, that's right. Now, says I, you have 2 choices. You need to get on to your county manager and everyone there. If you don't let me into that building in the next few days, I will issue a statement of grounds and an affidavit, and I'll land your people in the High Court before next Monday. We have a pandemic. We have a pandemic. Our health at stake. I said the section of the Planning and Development Act, I quoted them out, states that any person, and that's me, any member of the public may call to the offices of the Planning Authority. Now be aware, if it's Bord Pleanála granted this, but the local council has to keep the documents for the public participation locally. So I said, we want in there. Now I said, it's going to go to court, and I haven't time for this, so I give you one last chance. We want a half an hour, sometime next week, in there. We are afraid, and we're afraid. I said, I'm telling you now the situation. Now I said, and this is where a lot of people criticize me, I'll comply with whatever health instructions you want. There's nothing we won't do that way. We use disinfectant, we use all that. And in fact, I'll agree to sit out under an eave or somewhere out in the yard if you're afraid. I just need the box. I'll protect it carefully. So anyway, she hung up in a horrible huff, very upset. And you can see the pressure was on everyone. But you see, the point is, if you look at my thing here, an assertive bully. A bully is not always a bad thing. Not always a bad thing. It's only a bad thing when it's taken against weaker people. When you take it against the state, that's the people to bully. I try to do it all of the time. And there's courses on assertiveness and all of this. But anyway, I got a call back from the same lady. I'd say she had been in touch with the county manager. We'll give you a half an hour. You'll have to wear the stuff, no problem. All solved. We'll be there. We were there on time. That meant me taking a whole day off my work. Lost that day. Went in, checked the file down. I gave each girl, there was 2 ladies, a job to do. Read it all down, watching the clock, got it down, got what I needed, got the documents, got the relevant documents, got the copies of what was needed. Now, some of this was online, like the decision to grant. You can use that all right, but we're able to get the smaller notes and stuff. And I picked out 4 documents, and you put a little tag on it, and they take it away and they photocopy it. You can pay €1. In this case, they didn't charge me anything as far as I remember. Okay, so we were now in a position to say that we checked the box and we saw this, and this is what we saw. We thanked them. We came out of there, up to the hotel. They stood me a bit of dinner, and I always remember there was raving loud music in the hotel, something I object to an awful lot, and I had to shout at the top of my voice for them to hear me. But I was explaining the SEA, the EIA directive, which a lot of people find it hard to follow, and that's all right. It's not hard for me to follow because I'm so intelligent, you see. That's the thing, you know. I'm not bragging about it. I was born that way. I can't do anything about it. Don't be giving out to me for being smart. I was born that way. And if I was born a dummy or a weak person or stupid, I'm sure that's it. So you have to have sympathy. So it doesn't matter. It's just the luck of the draw. Unfortunately, I can't play the fiddle, so you can't blame me for not being a genius. I cannot play the violin, and it's a terrible, terrible weakness in me. But in any event, the thing is, off goes the girls. They collected the money round. They were determined to win, and I was determined to back them. And it's such a pleasure to be able to work with people who are on your side and are reliable, and they're relying on me. And I was studying like blazes, studying hell, and making sure I had everything right. And sure enough, the guidelines were mentioned in the application, the 2019 guidelines, which were never assessed and were never signed off, never finished. And all we had to say, that had to be a ground. So I got that ground. I did up the statement of ground to say that the 2006 Irish guidelines are the same as the Belgium guidelines in effect, and that the European Court ruled in case C-2419 that they're unlawful, and that this wind farm can't be granted permission, and it had to be pulled down. In any event, eventually it'd have to be pulled down eventually. So she got her lawyers, but they put in a few other grounds. And I don't blame them, because I have to say to people, if you go in fully on the SCA law, they'll fight you harder. If you leave them an outlet, like something like a river or a pass or something, and there was a question on this about the consent of the landowners as well, and that's not under the directive, that's Irish civil law. And you're not covered with the protection cost order for it. So there was a bit of hooling and tooling. They got a good enough junior council. The senior council was very good on all of the non-SCA things, but the senior council, I'll not say whether it was a man or a woman, said there was nothing in the SCA. That's baloney. And of course, that's what we all get. The whole legal profession seemed to be rallied round this. Now, the problem I have going into the court of my own is that if I got up as far as the Supreme Court, I can't get to the European Court because I'm not a lawyer. And that is a problem. But I might actually take one myself yet. It's very time consuming just on that. In any event, there was a lot of to and fro, and there was hours and hours of work behind the scenes. There wasn't that much court pleadings. It wasn't that much, because the judge will let you at it. If he's there and you say, oh, we're trying to straighten out, he'd say, go on, adjourn for a week. That's the way the system works. So anyway, eventually they agreed to cave in, Bord Pleanála. And they agreed to cave in, but they didn't want to provide, they wanted to charge the group costs on the land law, because it was going to be a big week's trial, and they didn't want to go through it. But anyway, a group from the developer, or from Bord Pleanála and the developer, I think it was, wanted to meet them personally. And they rang me, and I said, why do they want to meet you? Sure, and that's what the court's for. I think they were trying to do a deal or offer them something, I don't know. Well, I said that probably not, but tell them anyway that if we do meet, sorry about the thing wobbling, it's a bit wobbly here. I said if we're going to meet, Val Martin will have to be on the job. That finished that. There was no need to meet. What were we going to talk about? The thing was illegal, that was it. So you see the bully had gone on and the assertiveness gone on and all of this. So in any event, eventually, after a long to and fro, they agreed to drop the whole thing and to provide the costs of the group in Kildare, to pay the costs of their legal team. That is a fact. Now, there's some guy there, I just don't have time to look at him, he's always telling me, you know no law, you know no law. The fact of the matter is, if you drive around Enfield, drive around North Kildare, around Naas, around all that, that wind farm is not built. It is not built, and that was a big one. That was a huge one in a strategic place. I mean, the wind mightn't be great there, but the connecting cables are actually good. And that's what happened in that case. Believe it or not. Even though the senior barrister was a bit doubtful of the SCA directive, but he was still prepared to plead it. But the one key to it was, throughout everything, there was never a mention of the strategic environmental assessment by the group barristers for the group, or the barristers for the Bord Pleanála, or the developer. So there must be a hidden word. There must be an underlying instruction not to let it be pleaded. And I know exactly what they're thinking. If we get a precedent on the SCA directive, the whole thing is officially off. Anyone can go in and just call it. So they don't want that to happen. So there's my efforts. There's how I dealt with it. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm right. This is the truth. This happened. It happened in this very house. I took the call, and the reception was bad. I had to come up here because this is a higher room to get a better reception to talk to the woman in Kildare in the planning office. That's what took place. Believe it or not, that shows you. If you're being assertive, you need to know the rules. If you're going to play the game, you need to know the rules. The Planning and Development Act is simple. There's no mention of anything. If the government wanted to prevent people going in there, they'd have to provide legislation to provide for an alternative, and they didn't do it. That would have been my plea. And I went to the High Court and said, Judge, we're prepared to go up with all protective matters and all of that, and we'd see how it goes. How could an Irish court refuse to allow a citizen see a planning file, which is their right under EU law and Irish law? I hope I've got that clear. Ask me any questions underneath. That was my contribution there. That wind farm would now be up and turning. I didn't count the turbines. There was something like 26 or 7 of them. Big heap of them there anyway. Big, massive ones would be there now. You'd be seeing them when you drive down on the road to Mullingar. You'd even probably see it if you're going on the Limerick Road. Probably would. So that's the story. Right or wrong, comment underneath. I'm just telling you how I handled a particular thing. How I handled a particular thing. And by golly, did I enjoy all of that. Worth its weight in gold. No money can buy the personal satisfaction of taking them on and whacking them. I'd say that wind farm alone, it had to be 150 million. I'd say 200 million wouldn't have built it. I'd say 150 million anyway. So there's 150 million of potential investment blocked by an old farmer with cows and an old tractor. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Good luck.